prosecutors have like a fucking perfect radar because they can throw everything, including the kitchen sink, under that indictment and just be, here we go. And that's why I say he's going to jail. It'd be interesting. He's facing life. Maybe he'll get 30 years. I don't know, but he's going to jail.
I think he's going to beat the case. Plus, it's odd as a RICO case. There's no co-defendants, right? Usually when a RICO, it's supposed to be conspiracy, kind of like Young Thug. They had like all the YSLs, as part of it. Like, how's it a RICO case and it's just him? That doesn't make sense.
This is the thing I didn't understand when we went back and forth with Eric on it.
It's very possible that the co-defendant were given not only immunity to testify against them. Ideally, when John Gotti was convicted of RICO, he was the only defendant in his case. He didn't have any co-defendant. I might be wrong with that, but I think I'm pretty sure.
He did Sammy the Bull.
Sammy the Bull testified against him. He wasn't
right, but he's still a co-defendant because he was involved in the criminal activity.
That's what we were saying. The co-defendant flipped on him.
Yeah, I think Sammy took a plea deal.
He took a plea deal and went into a witness protection program.
Yeah, but who are the co-defendants in this case? That's the weird part.
I'm not sure he had co-defendant because I remember he was him by himself and people testified against him. And it was
my impression of RICO was always that the idea was you're utilizing the organizational structure to tie somebody to something that you don't have direct evidence for. So although, one of the lower individuals in the hierarchy of the organization committed the crime, someone higher up who can't be tied directly to it can be considered just as guilty because they're sort of the figurehead of the organization.
Right, that's why, with this lady, Capricorn, in her testimony, she said that large man picked her up, took her in the warehouse. P. Diddy wasn't there, but they were doing it on behalf of P. Diddy, and it benefited from it.
That Islamic Jihad rubbish, it trickles down to Nigeria, and I have lost family members behind it. That bullshit.
Yeah.
That fucking disgusting bullshit. So trust me,
Denzel was pushing Blue Magic, a brand name. Like,
I do want to put a perspective out there that if there is ever peace in this place, the whole world will shift, and the spirit in that sand does not want that to happen. And I have my reservations about what religion might be kind of the the main puppeteer behind it. But I'm not going to throw them under the bus. But I do believe that Israel does have some sense of righteousness in what they're doing. And when it comes to the Palestinians, I get it. I get it. But if there are truly Israelis that are willing to negotiate on a peaceful level, I think that needs to happen. And honestly, I'm gonna land with this. How will God be honored in all this at the end? Because it's all about honoring God. And I feel like the Jews are the best at that. That's why they're the best at everything.
You're not a real Christian, there's no way.
Oh, hi, Chillers. Hi, Dr. Concrete. Hey, Dr. Concrete.
Did you like the call with my mom yesterday? Did you get a headache, Dr. Concrete? You kept hitting the I want to talk button while I'm talking to my mom.
Down for a second. I don't like that. There's no call to attack a human.
This is
being's
not chillism, but
identity or their
we
religion.
could go back to chillism if you want to hear it. But now that the anonymous feature is there, I can just record chillism all the time.
Sharp mind, but please don't attack people, especially based on their religion on this stage. Now,
You want me to demonstrate to you the anonymous? Watch this. We're gonna jump back into chillism
What you do know, she was
anonymously, and they're now announcing it in chillism that these rooms can be recorded and that.
hope he beats it.
The sex trafficking.
I'm hoping he beats it.
The sex trafficking, in my opinion, they proved. Once you bring a prostitute, because we read the law. Once you bring a prostitute
Concrete, why don't you think you're ever moderated in there? Like, why don't they ever mod you? Like, you're such an OG in chillism, bro.
Yeah, it's
Like, why don't they mod you in there? Like, why aren't you always a mod? Why aren't you in line always modded? I don't understand it.
A racist act, right? It was based on Jack Johnson, a boxer.
You guys are so smart.
And then they created that law.
Why don't you create your own chillism room, Concrete? What the fuck? You just don't give a fuck, do you?
Hit everybody with it.
You're just like wasting your time talking about nothing.
We're
Brutal, bro.
Especially the internet, you're more likely to meet a
Did I hear you say you had a degree in something the other day? I was
somewhere
like,
else other than where you live, and they'll be in another state. Even if it's next door to each other, still it'll be in another state. And the fact that they came over there,
okay, I can't even take it.
That kind of thing, and both sides have become more subjective or in.
Okay, we're jumping back out of anonymous.
There's an energy out there, or of the like. It seems like the responsibility is being shifted. I think you might agree with me that we need to look inside as people, active participants, to see what we can do differently. And I think we can bring peace if that is our focus. If you agree.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. So, I know it's about So what exactly are you saying? So I know it's about land. I know it's about the refugees. I know it's about hostages. But if I'm not mistaken, this thing has happened before. Now, why I'm not going back to the past is because I believe what's happening now is a result of October 7th. So I would like to focus on that and that to present to future. But I want to understand. I want to kind of get a better understanding of what you're saying.
Well, I'm just trying to understand what you were saying when you said that there's an energy in the land. Well, what do you mean by that? An energy in the land?
Because of the essence of that place. You know the concept of yin and yang, right? So because the level, and I'm gonna try to state this the best way I know how to. Because of the level of the power of God that is in that place, you're also gonna have a certain level of opposition type forces. Okay, and anybody who's even successful will always have bigger problems. Everybody, it's just like that. Anything that's worth anything you have, it's always going to be an opposition. The greater something is, the higher opposition that you have for it. Because there is a supernatural spiritual effect that overdwells somebody when they are on a certain spiritual plateau within themselves, and they go in that place. Because of that essence, something that money cannot even describe to buy or touch, no matter what properties or whatever we're talking about. You also have an opposing force. There is an opposing force. That's the fight. That's why the fight has been so long.
Yeah.
So many years.
Well, maybe we shouldn't focus on a perceived supernatural if this is going to lead to the fighting. We should focus on the natural and the concrete.
All right. Okay. Hey, John, I enjoyed that little spiritual interlude. I want to bring up somebody who hates the Jews and hates Israel and see what he's got to say. So, Aziz, I'm going to have you up to represent your Jew-hating, by the way, I think also anti-Christian point of view. And let's see what you have to say for yourself. But it's not going to be a lecture. You're going to get to make 1 point. So if you know what 1 point is, give me the thumbs up. Aziz, do you know what 1 point is? Aziz, I'm waiting for your thumbs up. Okay. If you can figure out how to work your phone and you can figure out how to do a 1 point, or you can put it in the chat, we'll have
El
you.
Normo.
Anybody else want to come up and present a different point of view? Eleonora, I know you hate Jews in Israel.
El Normo.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. Did you create this room title, Black Folk?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to get into the detail. I want to have a good discussion. I don't want to talk about, that's just a way of referring to folks. So, does anybody want to, no, I'm calling you up, Aziz. Are you willing to make one point? I'm not afraid at all. Aziz, do you know what one point is? Aziz, do you know what a point is? I'm inviting
Aziz,
you.
what he's trying to say to you is, don't give us a lecture. Just give us a news bit. Give us a sentence of an opinion, and make it focused and make it intelligent.
Right, and if you agree to that, Aziz, you can come up. It seems fair.
Which means less is more. No one wants to hear soliloquies and poems. We want to hear one thought, and then we'll debate the
All right,
thought.
I'm going to turn off hand raising. Okay, I turned it off. So let's see what the effect that had. Good. Now I'm going to turn it on. Anybody who raises their hand is agreeing to make 1 point. Okay. So if you raise your hand, that means you understand that you get to make 1 point. Okay. Does anybody? Okay, Aziz, you're agreeing to make 1 point. You've raised your hand. There you go. See if you can do 1 point. Let's hear it. I just invited you up. Go ahead.
El Normo, can you put me in the queue after Aziz? Because I
Sure. Okay, Aziz, are you there? What's your 1 point, Aziz? And we'll discuss it. Well, first let's give a topic sentence. And then you can give a little bit of explanation of your point. What's your point, Aziz? If you know what a point is.
My point is that there seems to be a lot of virtue signaling. People suggesting they have a particular moral standing, and then the actions that they may engage in themselves or support does not reflect the moral standing they claim to have. So I'm here to just
Okay, let's talk about that. All right, I got you. Now I'm going to see if I understand your point.
Well, I haven't finished.
Hang on, no, that's it. You've made your point.
Okay.
That's 1 point. I'm going to repeat it back to you. Stay calm. Let's see if I understand it. So what you just said, this is how conversation works.
I haven't finished. The important part was at the end of the
well, no, you got to make your 1 point. Not 3 points,
I didn't
not
realize
10
it's half
points.
a point more.
Not 3 points, not 10 points, 1 point. So
Not
I'm going to
even
repeat
one.
it back
El
to you.
Normo,
Now
can you
you're
please,
interrupting.
can you please mute him and just give us back what you think you heard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that. Fuck you. Yeah.
Okay. So, Aziz said there seems to be some virtue signaling which is at odds with behavior. Now, that's a very vague claim. I'm not sure what that means or what it would look like. So, again, I guess we need some, I don't know, I don't even know what that means. There seems to be some virtue signaling. I don't know if he's trying to say that Israel doesn't want peace or that Israel doesn't have a right to this war. It's a very vague claim, so I'm going to say that's a bit of a fail. Does anybody else want to take a crack at Aziz's 1 point?
Well, what do you? Because I kind of actually understand a little bit of what I think he's trying to express, which is saying people who call people hypocrites are hypocrites. But I don't hear any virtue signaling on this stage. All I hear is virtue signaling from people in his, a community, and you don't hear about the law. You don't hear about the prosecution of justice, about really what war is. I mean, this is a funeral procession, and the hostilities will come to a cessation when terrorists are freed. Does no one read history and understand, hostage exchanges, conflict to the bitter end? I mean, October 7th was a dastardly attack, and right now, I mean, this is a major catastrophe, but,
Okay.
What are we going to do, El Normo?
Hang on, is it comedy today? Hang on. So I don't want to get off the track, so if you don't mind. So, Gaia, you had your hand up, and I said I would bring you up, and no, nobody's afraid of you. Why should we be afraid of you? I said, okay. So, Aziz said he thought there was some virtue signaling, but I have to say, Aziz, perhaps because you don't understand this issue, you haven't studied it. I think you're making a very vague and general point, and it's maybe work on it. Try to say something a little bit more direct and on the point. So now I want to have Gaia up. Hang on, Gaia, where are you? Gaia, come on up and go ahead. You've raised your hand, which means that you understand that you're going to make a point. We'll all talk about your point, and we'll make sure that we understand your point. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. It's actually Gaia.
Gaia.
Yeah. My point is, or it's not a point, I'm actually addressing the title. Why should Black folks and all Americans support Israel? Why I see segregation here is Black folks, you said it's representing all. What about the Blacks that are in America? Are you trying to say that all of America support the Blacks are separated? You should
Definitely
say.
not. So definitely
Okay,
not.
so
I'm
you're
not trying to say that.
because you're trying to instigate something. If you're going to be looking for support, you cannot bring segregation. Okay.
Just a
Because they
discussion.
will
Again,
a black
let's
person
hang on.
a point.
I want you to stay on stage, but I just want to address what you've said so far. There's no
You can't address
segregation.
not because you have a green bean. You can't address something if it's not finished. Then you won't have a complete
Actually. You've
understanding.
already made some statements. You said there was some segregation.
Okay,
There's no
so you want to do it
segregation.
point by point. Okay, let me go on mic so you could address me point by point. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So there's no segregation. I was just in a room with Black folks discussing Israel, so I came out of that room, and they were against Israel, and I am making a counter, at least offering a discussion of a counter argument that I believe Black folks and Jews have been historically natural allies in the struggle against discrimination and for civil rights. We've marched arm in arm. Jews have even died for the civil rights of Black folks. And I think, therefore, I'm elevating Black folks to special status. Black folks and all Americans. Black folks obviously are included in that. But by the way, there are Black folks who are not Americans. And again, it's just really a way of getting people into the room and having a discussion. So there's no segregation. Now, please continue.
Yes, there is, Mom. I was in the other room and you brought your emotions over here. Now, if you're going to, because the title over there did not have Black folks, it says Israel. It did not, because at the end of the day,
emotions
Israel,
are not segregation.
At the end of the day, over there, all I see, and if you want to go there, which I say you're bringing animosity, Jews.
I'm bringing love, the opposite of animosity. Animosity is hate.
Israel is not only yellow. Okay, I'm not finished. That's why you need to make that segregation out and say, should all of America, because at the end of the day, all of America is not only yellow, because it seems as though you're putting Black folks separate in America, different from the ones that are actually, that's what you're doing. If people listen, intelligence doesn't only reside behind you. Okay, as a Jew or whatever the hell you want to call yourself.
I'm honoring
No, you did not. What Black folks are you talking about? When you say should Black folks, because at the end of the day, are you talking Asians, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans? Because they're Black.
Asians are not Black.
Yes, they are. Yes, they're Black. They are Black. They're melanated.
No, dear. Everybody
yes, they are. And you Jews are not white. So I don't understand how you would want to contest a race of white when you yellow people are not white.
It depends on what you mean by white. If you mean phenotype.
Well, it depends on what you mean by Black too, because Black comes in different attributes. So you have to.
Can we move on? This is not a discussion of whether. Black folks or anything like that. I'm talking about people who are typically identified
That's the thing. That's why the world is the way how it is, because people are giving themselves own definition. Because at the end of the day, us as Black people can look over Israel and say those things are not humans, why they're Holocaust and they're killing them and stuff like that. Yeah, literally, because they think that Black people and did not look at us as humans when we had our slave trade. So do not do that, because that's just stupid. You cannot do that. That's a level of intelligence that you're trying to suffocate. It's like you want to revert from a different perspective to push back the animosity of humanity for them to start separating themselves. Because at the end of the day, who the hell would want to look over there and even care, kill them the fuck off so we can see some Black running all over the fucking yellow shack? Does that sound nice to you? No, it doesn't. So you cannot use your titles the titles that you guys are throwing back and forth in Clubhouse, a lot of people need to understand that you guys are doing it for clout and algorithm money.
Let's try to
Because people
focus on the topic in the room, please.
Okay, well, the topic, I want to talk on the topic, but he's
You
saying
have
one
already.
point and everything.
You've
Go
had your
ahead,
time.
because if I should go inside,
Okay, hang on. You've had your time, and I appreciate it, Gaia. Now we're gonna move on to somebody else. We're gonna come back to you after.
Gaia, or you could go into my profile and say Lelicia.
Gaia. What's that?
Yes, thank you, Gaia, because that's what you guys call it, to Gaia.
Very
Don't
good.
pronounce it wrong.
Thank you for teaching me. Bill, I invited you up. If there's anybody else who wants to push back,
You know, El Normo, I just wanted to say I went out on a date recently with a beautiful woman, and you know, I came to the conclusion that at the end of every conversation, you can kind of culminate it with the concept of meditation, meaning that,
okay.
you know,
Comedy. I don't want to go off into a spiritual side rail here. No offense.
it's not spiritual. It's really just.
Appreciate your support. Now, Bill is here. Let's hear what you have to say.
Hey Norm, long time no speak.
How are you, bro?
I'm well. Greetings from Boston. It's interesting. If we look politically, what's happened the last 2 years, and certainly from the perspective of the People's Republic of China, they have allied themselves with the Palestinians, and that's sort of an issue politically, Norm, where my enemy's enemy is my friend. So obviously, Israel's allied with the United States. So anybody allied with the United States, China's going to take an opposite position. Also, as you may know, just going historically, Taiwan was very much close with Israel, despite the lack of diplomatic relations. So politics aside, I think Chinese have always supported the Jewish cause. I can't say that for the Japanese, quite frankly, because Japan has had a strange relationship, and not because of being an Axis partner with Germany during World War II. I think it has more with the oil trade, quite frankly. So the Japanese have an odd relationship with Israel because Japan's been completely dependent on Arab oil imports over the years, so they've sort of allied themselves with that cause. But I just wanted to throw that in there, Norm. Well done. Thanks.
Very cool, Bill. Very cool. Thank you for that. I guess, so you don't consider Asian folks black folks, as of speaking as an Asian.
That's a good one, yeah.
I know, it's kind of weird. All right. Now, there's somebody, hang on a second.
You know, El Normo, it's.
I'm back. I had somebody at the door and I'm multitasking. So, yeah. What can I say? Let's get an alternative point of view. Let's get somebody who doesn't agree. Because I want to hear what other people, like Aziz, you want to make another, you can make one point if you want, Aziz. You made one about virtue signaling. Didn't go over that well, but we'll give you another shot. I'm going to invite you up to speak. Let's hear you make another point, if you got one in you.
Yeah,
A real
so
point, though.
my next point is I'm probably the most handsome man in the industry. And that's not even close.
Isn't that, see, that's just
Very
such a,
smart.
that's how I know all communication is spam. Because, I mean, I can smell the cheddar cheese from in between your teeth on my phone right now.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
No personal attack.
But yeah, that's my point.
So you're a troll. Is it fair to say you're a troll?
No, I believe that. I believe that.
But that's not on point, though. You want to say something that's on point, or maybe you don't have it in you.
Does it have to be a point in relation to something?
To the topic, obviously.
Plus,
Have you been to Clubhouse before? Have you ever been on Clubhouse before?
Once or twice, yeah.
Okay. So
So do you know what a point is? If you raise your hand, I thought you knew what a point is.
I thought I did until I joined this room, and then it got cut off halfway. So.
No, you weren't cut off halfway. You just didn't realize that you'd made your point. Do you have anything to contribute to the conversation? Aziz, 1 point? This is your big chance. You're always saying in the echo chamber. You're always saying that I'm afraid of you, and yet you have the opportunity. Nothing. Why is that?
Well, yeah, you know, I mean, I was the one supposed to be making a point. It sounds like you're making points now.
Well, no, this is your opportunity. We're all ears. Let's hear your point.
Well, I have to make one that you agree with, Norm.
No, you don't. No, just make a point, Aziz.
Can it be one you don't agree with, or
Any point, Aziz. Go ahead.
anything? Let me think.
All right. Want to think in the audience? You think in the audience.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay. So you see, it turns out you really have nothing to contribute to this, do you?
I mean, not based on your framework, no.
No framework. Anything.
No, framework, definitely.
Anything. Do you have anything
Not
to contribute?
anything, I can't say anything, like, I'm kind of...
Do you have any point to make on this topic, I ask you? In front of everybody. Remember, we're all here looking at you.
Okay, my point. I appreciate you changing black to black folk. That was progressive. So that's my point.
Okay, you appreciate the room title.
What a waste of time, El Normo. This guy can't make 1 point. If he's so pro-Palestinian, why can't he even make 1 point about what the hell he wants to talk about?
I think none of them can, to be honest.
Because he disagrees with it, so he'll cut me off. So it's not really...
Well, no. Make a point, Aziz. I offer you again.
No, I actually have something I disagree with, actually. So, earlier, when I was on my anonymous setting, I was just listening, and when you were speaking to the African-American gentleman, you said, like, you said that Islam, or Hamas appeals to Islam to kill the Jews, right? And you said in their charter they quoted the Quran, but they don't quote the Quran in their charter, though.
What is that from where it says, O rock, O tree?
I think it's a hadith in Bukhari or Sunan Abu Dawud. Abu Dawud, I think. Maybe either one.
So is the hadith a little bit like the Talmud, like it's commentaries on the Quran?
It's not a commentary. No. That is something that's actually going to happen. Okay? It's just a prophecy about the Jews and the Christians at the end of time.
What's the relationship of that?
No. The Quran tells you, there's no direct relation.
So it's, there's no connection between the Quran and the hadith.
No, there's no, the Quran doesn't say, quote the hadith verbatim, it doesn't say, no.
It never says verbatim. It says, what's the relationship?
Oh, the relationship would be one that's okay, the Quran tells you to follow the Prophet and to follow Allah, right? And you follow Allah by following the Quran because that's the speech of God. And you follow the Prophet by following his speech. That's the only relation.
Say that again, please.
Okay, so hadith, right, is something you hadith, it's so to speak, to say, right? So that's something someone says, right? So the Quran is the speech of God. The Quran, you have to follow Allah. Allah tells you in the Quran to follow the Rasul, the Prophet, right? So the way you follow the Prophet is by saying, follow what he said, and that's how the Sunnis, and, that's how we get the hadith corpus.
So this is a saying or tradition of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, it's a prophecy. It's just saying that in the end of time, the Jews and the Christians will be hiding behind rocks, and the rocks will tell us where the Christians and Jews are.
It says here that this is the tradition of Muhammad.
Yeah, it's just a tradition from the Prophet, he said.
It's tradition. So the tradition of the Prophet is to exterminate the Jews.
Yes, at the end of time, the Jews and Christians, that's the pragmatic society that we're going to live in.
So thank you for helping me. So
wait, but Norma, you also believe that when the Messiah,
I don't believe that.
when Messiah the David comes, he's going to high five the Muslims. He's going to high five the Muslims in Jerusalem.
You can teach me about what you believe.
No, I've read the Torah more than you have. I guarantee you.
Al, if you interrupt, I gotta send you down. We can take turns though, if that works for you.
Go ahead.
You can tell me what you believe, and I tell you what I believe. That's a basic rule of discourse. So I'm not going to say to you, you hate Albanian sheep herders, right? I know what you believe. I know your religion better than you.
I'm not making an external critique.
I just made that up. I didn't say you were making an external critique. critique. I said, you're telling me what I believe. And you are incorrect.
If I'm making an internal critique, I have to presuppose the rules and dogmatics of the religion, right? Just because you don't follow Judaism, that's not my fault.
Al, I do follow Judaism. You're wrong again. So once again, and this is I think a problem of boundaries and psychology. In other words, many people, their only recourse in a conversation is to tell the other person what they believe. You can't do that. You can tell me what you believe, and then I can tell you what I believe. Is that fair?
Right, that would be fair, right? I would concede to that if my show was a critique on your beliefs. I'm not making a critique.
You just did. You just told me what I believe.
No. And you don't hold to Judaism, to actual
No, I do hold to it.
You're on Clubhouse on Saturdays and Sunday. Okay, you're on Clubhouse on the weekends. You don't.
Hang on. Then you told me I don't believe in Judaism. Wrong again. Now, again, I will offer you, I guess you're not getting it. You tell me what you believe, and I'll tell you what I believe.
I'm not making
For the
a critique
record,
on your beliefs.
I didn't say you're making your critique. You told me what I believe. That's a form of schizophrenia.
No, okay, I'm not.
You
Now
don't
you're
know.
Mike, you're diagnosing me with schizophrenia. That's insane.
I am diagnosing your behavior as schizophrenia.
You're like a telehealth doctor now. That's cute. But look, anyways.
No, I am telling you
look,
that telling me what's in my, I'm going to have to.
I'm not telling you what's in your brain.
You just told me what I believe, and then you told me what I don't believe. So for the record, I'm a believing Jew. I'm a serious Jew. I believe in God. I believe in Torah, acts of kindness, and tzedakah, charity. I do love, revere, esteem, and make holy the Sabbath, Shabbos. I'm a believing, I eat kosher food. I married a Jewish woman. I don't know what else to say. I'm not going to really present my Jew credentials. If I didn't do all those things, I'd still be a Jew. Now, you've been on, you just want me to go on mute for it now, Harry, having said that? No, I didn't say the Sabbath is on Sunday. Okay. So he doesn't know. People don't know what they're talking about, and they want to hold forth on Jews, which is very strange. I think because they know who they are, and they're threatened by who we are, because we know that they know we're the Jews.
Oh no, people use you as their scapegoat to project onto, and I think you're an amazing jiu-jitsu fighter because it's just crazy projection and people casting these negative dispersions on people. Don't you just see that that's your subconscious speaking to yourself?
Yeah, it's projection. Randy, Randy, I want to hear from you. Aziz, I hope you're thinking of a point because you're always saying Norm is afraid of my words, and here you up on stage for all this time without making a single point, except you thought we were virtue signaling. That was your only point. So I know you can add something to this topic. Mm-hmm. And again, just to focus you, Aziz, the topic is why should black folks and all Americans support Israel? In case you want like a prompt, but you can make a point on anything regarding this issue. But now it's Randy's turn. So you think about your point. You can go.
Okay, I'll walk. I just want to make one observation.
Sure.
Yes, we've kind of skipped over. We've used the word projection, but that is what's happening here. This is the current anti-Israel wave has tapped into historic stereotypes. And it starts with saying the Jews stole the land. Somehow that ring, no one would ever say this. No one would ever say the whites stole the land in North America or anyone stole the land, but that feeds into a narrative that people have been fed. And there's a lack of consistency because, who's the big bad wolf? The big bad Jew is Netanyahu. But read the New York Times. Who's Netanyahu a lot like? Donald Trump. So is Donald Trump the big bad Jew? Or is he, in other words, there's all kinds of projecting, it's the old saying, if the Jew fits, wear it. if you can project it into an anti-Jewish narrative, which it seems very easy to do.
Probably mine. Somebody.
Yeah. Go ahead. That's what I think has happened out there. I think that, it's very glib to say anti-Semitism is, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, but if you really dig down, the tropes are there. Nobody says the PLO stole the land. Nobody says Hamas stole the land. But it's this constant thing, the Jews stole the land. No, there was no Palestine. There never was, people. There never was a Palestine. It's a name for an area. Jordan was cut out from it. Jordan was about 75% of historic Palestine, and it was given to the family. King Hussein's family. I'm forgetting the name of the dynasty. It's a spin-off from Saudi Arabia, just like Maud was a spin-off from All in the Family. Jordan is a spin-off from Saudi Arabia. Hashemites, thank you. Unfortunately, they put it in the Palestine time slot, but nobody walks around and says the Hashemites stole Jordan. So come on, people. Come up with new tropes. We see through you. We see you. You're not fooling anybody. And thanks,
Can I ask you a
Warren.
question?
Go ahead, my brother. Anything.
So is it just a language issue? You'd rather they use different words than stolen?
No, I didn't say that.
Wait, I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you.
Stolen is
what's
a
the
lie.
The Jews
word?
decolonized it. They decolonized it. It's their natural homeland. They
What's the word that we should
decolonized it.
use?
Decolonized.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Do you want to? Don't be glib. Let's
I'm not gonna be glib. You're the one that
let's
used the
stand
word,
on that
bro.
word. Let's
You
talk
said
about that word.
decolonize. What are you telling me? Why are you telling me not to be glib? You're the one that used the term.
I want to talk about what it means.
Colonize is
Look, we all can.
I want to talk about. You asked me what's the word, and I want to talk about that.
I can infer what you mean by the word colonize and right?
Okay, so what do you think I mean?
Make something not, right? Like you de-escalate. So
Very
escalating was going. All right, great. So you don't have to get into the
Wait, the word colon is in the prefix, right? Colonization is like a colonoscopy.
I didn't ask you about history, so if you wanted to get into that,
You asked me the word.
yeah,
And I wanted
said
to know. I thought you were curious. I mean, let's talk about the word. But if not, let's keep going then. Fine.
All right. So you're saying decolonize is a better term, and I think irrespective of the terms that we use to describe the event, if we were to describe the event and its actions, you're still going to have a problem on your hand, right?
I didn't say there's no problems. I didn't say there are no problems.
Okay, great.
Israel does go.
I didn't interrupt you at all, bro. I didn't interrupt you at all.
Creed, address what he said.
I didn't interrupt you at all, bro. I don't know why I keep getting interrupted.
You don't understand how the concrete show goes?
You're trying to show how, innocent and calm and cool you are whilst being overly aggressive in these conversations. And maybe I get it. It's personal. It's a personal.
Norm,
I don't know. I think you're being aggressive. I think it's aggressive. I don't know if it's an attack or a description.
Let's not
of
make
what's
it
being
personal.
happening. I'm not making it personal. I'm asking you to please stop interrupting
What's
me.
on your mind?
I'm asking you to please stop interrupting me. Is that okay?
Please proceed. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I don't think that you're gonna alleviate the problem by changing the language or the term that you use to describe it. Because we all.
Hang on, wait a second, Randy. What's the problem, Concrete? Let's get to the
Your problem is that you don't want to be
Please,
accused.
Norm, I'm following this conversation.
Hold on. He wants to be aggressive. It's okay. He wants to be aggressive. That's the only way he knows how to.
Come on,
That's the only way he knows how to behave. No, look. It's his time to be the boss. So Norm, I'll acquiesce to your question. The problem, as I understand it, is that you don't want to be considered thieves and robbers, right? Not a problem.
I'll tell you what the problem is.
All right, keep going, sir. Concrete, please, Norm.
No.
Concrete,
Look, let Norm go. Let Norm go. Norm wants to be the boss.
Responding.
Norm is showing you how to engage. So
Norm,
take his lead.
Concrete responded to my point, so I really would like him to finish, please, and then I'll respond to him, please.
Okay, just hang on 1 second, Randy. The problem is when you call somebody a thief, that justifies acting against them. The Jews are indigenous to Israel. It's our land in
the first place. We don't say others cannot live with us. Many different ethnic groups live there. Samaritans, Phoenicians, Yazidis, Druzim, Arabs,
Right.
Christians.
But no, the difference is that the Jews have offered a two-state solution repeatedly, and the Palestinians have repeatedly said, we want all of it. But now I'd love Concrete to finish, please.
Yeah, so calling it decolonization and Norm appealing to we owned it first, I just take it that, he's got some sort of like document that he can appeal to that is like irrefutable evidence of his prior ownership or their prior ownership.
Absolutely.
I'm sure no such document exists.
I'll give you you can't be sure of something. You asked a
come
question.
on, bro. Like, why are you doing this? You're embarrassing yourself amongst your fellow Jews, bro.
Please, Norm, you're really getting lost in the weeds. That's lost in the weeds, Norm.
Norm,
finish up.
One at a time. So we're gonna.
Norm, that just shows you how seared your awareness is. Your awareness has been so blunted that you don't feel embarrassed when you're being overtly
cut to the chase.
Horse.
I want to.
Okay, you can reply in 1 second, Randy. We're gonna go 1 point at a time. We call it decolonizing because the Ottoman Turks and the Brits were colonizers. The Jews are indigenous, and we kicked out the colonizers. That's decolonizing. The proof of that it was our land is everywhere to be seen, anthropologically, archaeologically, historically. There's no debate in the world that the Jews are indigenous to this land. And all people deserve the right to self-determination. And we assert that right. That's a human right. That's already been granted by the world. There isn't any dispute about it. Go ahead, Conrad.
So Abraham existed in a world that nobody else inhabited, and then he took on.
Now, you're asking a theological question.
No. This is genealogical. So
No, concrete.
May
I say something concrete?
We gotta have a little decorum.
No, because you're gonna go back.
You know what?
Listen.
You know what? Who's the boss Jew here? I want to know. That's who I will acquiesce to.
All right, Norm,
are you the boss Jew?
Who the boss Jew? What kind of bullshit rhetoric is you guys are wasting our time talking to this
Who
motherfucker?
is the leader of this Jewish conclave?
Who the Jewish leader of this conclave? You an inauthentic speaker, Concrete, you dirty dog.
Go ahead.
What a bunch of spam! Fucking wasting time, this motherfucker. Spamming us with this bullshit.
I didn't realize it was going to be like this.
Yeah, so what I've noticed is, we all understand power dynamics. Norm exerted his power over
Here we go with more fucking
Randy is
spam.
trying to exert his power over me. So we understand that even if you are a downtrodden people, i.e. the Jews, they don't have a problem, exerting their power over others, i.e. the Palestinians, right? Because we actually see it right here live in front of us. Norm domineered over Randy, and Randy tried to domineer over me. Why? Because that's human fucking nature. Whoever you think is the weaker party.
Concrete, we want intelligent information and discourse, not a waste of time.
Control and manipulate due to your own desires, right? It is unfortunate.
Why don't you say something intelligent, something interesting?
At least we know that the Jews also have like people with mental disorders in their clan, i.e. comedian is a prime example.
Are you projecting, Dr. Concrete?
People. They are rife with problems, as you can see again with comedian as the perfect example.
Here we go again, attacking individuals on the stage.
Mental derangement.
I'm trying to say what you do is spam, Concrete. It's a waste of time.
Who behaves like this? Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I have the conversation now?
You're having it.
Would you like to have it now?
Yeah, we are.
So, Norm, the historical argument is easily contested with the idea that Abraham was a person among other people. And since that's the case, the lands that he inhabited...
Hang on, let's stop right there. Okay. I'm not going to debate the Torah, because that is...
You said there was a historical basis?
Yes, that's
correct. What are you appealing to historically then? It's not...
I'm appealing to the vast number of synagogues, structures, Jewish artifacts that fill the land of Israel. I'm just
How does that establish primacy? How does that?
I said indigeneity.
Yeah, I take indigeneity to be an issue of primacy.
No.
If it's the case that
It means we are.
you can have, do you think that you can't have different people who are indigenous to the land at
There
some
are
later
different
point?
people. I mentioned them.
Okay, great. So primacy is going to be the issue because indigeneity isn't the determining factor in who gets to control it in the moment.
So
Because if it's the case that they're indigenous, listen, Norm.
Yeah.
If they're both, if two groups are both indigenous, who does it belong to?
It belongs to both of them.
You see how you try to escape that? It would depend on who's there first, Norm.
No,
It doesn't belong to both of them. It depends on who's there first.
You asked me a question, but you disagree with the answer.
I think your answer was intentionally dishonest to dodge the issue of
don't accuse
primacy.
me of dishonesty.
I will. Sorry.
Well, I'm not being dishonest.
Well, you'd have to show otherwise. Please and thank you.
I can easily do so. Israel's Declaration of Independence is crystal clear about the Jews' intention to live in peace with our neighbors and with the various people who are of that land. The Declaration of Independence is clear. The laws of Israel are clear. There are Arab folks in the Knesset and in the Supreme Court. The 20% of Israel is made up of non-Jews. We have many people who flee the Arab world. We have Baha'is and we have people who are of various faiths that have been expelled from the Arab world. They're welcome in Israel. We have South Sudanese people seeking refuge. We have some Russian people who are not Jews who are seeking refuge. So the state of Israel is based on the principle not of primacy, but of self-determination. And when it was seen that there was a military struggle between Jews and Arabs in the land of Israel, the world decided on a partition. You get some and we get some. We said fine. The other party said not fine. And that's where it gets us to today. They have always refused to live peacefully with their neighbors. That's the problem. Unfortunately, Concrete got a phone call. This is your big chance, Aziz. You've been up here for about an hour. What brilliant point can you grace us with, Aziz? 1 point. Go ahead. Eager to hear your wisdom.
What would you like me to address, Norman?
You know very well the topic of the room or anything I've said.
The topic of the room. I have a problem with the topic of the room.
I didn't ask you to get a problem. I asked you to make a point.
I'll make a point.
Okay, good.
The title of the room is problematic because it's implying that all people are monoliths, and that is the very idea that leads to the conflict that we have today.
Okay.
And this is why you need to change the title of the room. That's my point.
Okay. Does the title say that all people are a monolith?
Yeah, it implies that they are.
Okay. I don't think all people are a monolith. Do you think all people are a monolith?
Well, I don't, but the title.
Okay, me neither. I agree with you. Problem solved. Anything else? Concrete, back to you. Thank you for your points. Thank you for your points, Aziz.
Thank you.
All people are not a monolith. That's brilliant.
Okay.
Concrete, you're back. Did you hear anything that I was saying?
Sorry, I had to take a
Okay. It's okay. We got lives here.
Norma, we have a before Concrete goes, we have a Jew hater, Alonzo, in the chat, and he's begging and pleading.
Yeah.
He's begging and pleading, and this isn't my room. So, would you like?
Oh, his hand is up. So,
would you like to bring him on stage?
Yeah. So let me just make the rules clear. So, Alonzo, if you're comfortable with this, people get to make 1 point. All right. So please choose your point carefully, and then we'll all take turns. We'll make sure that we understand your point, your 1 point, and then we can discuss it. And then if that goes well, we can continue. Yeah.
Okay, Alonzo, I will allow you to come on stage. we're gonna have to let this guy get his thoughts together. Obviously, yeah, he's a very intelligent young Jew hater. I think he has more to say, but I don't think he gathered himself. So, Mr. El Nomo, I'll give the floor back to you. If you don't mind.
All right, come on. Can we not do that, bro? Grandstanding. Come on, bro. You sound like a black man. Don't do that, bro. That's embarrassing.
All right. Well, okay. Whatever. Lonzo attacked him. Concrete. That's not right. So,
should I just make another point? Should I make another one, or?
Let's hear if Lonzo has a point. You've had a lot of chances already. I'm going to bring Lonzo up. What's your one point? Here you go, Lonzo. Welcome to the stage, Lonzo. What's your one point that we can discuss together? Lonzo going once.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so the point is anybody that can look at some of these pictures, these videos online, and call this anything but a genocide. I mean, something has to be wrong with that individual.
Okay, there's your point. Hold on right there. Okay.
He's not dumb, Norman.
Okay, so that's okay. So here's Lonzo's point.
I wasn't done yet, but
Yeah, well, you made a point, whether you realized it or not. A lot of people don't know what a point is. So I'm going to repeat it back to you, and then we can discuss it. Then you can advance some more, Lonzo.
Context is important, but go ahead.
Thank you. So Lonzo said that anybody who looks at these pictures online has to, if you don't see that it's a genocide, there's something wrong with them. Is that what you said, Lonzo?
Videos, pictures, yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. So thank you. So interestingly, genocide is not defined by TikTok, YouTube, or pictures, as Lonzo said. Genocide is an attempt to wipe out a people. Now, it would be impossible to learn from a picture or TikTok or video or YouTube whether or not A, there was an intention to wipe people out, and B, if in fact people were being wiped out, because those are pictures. So we do this by, number one, investigating intent, and Israel has expressed its intent in this war to defeat Hamas so that it can never do October 7th again, because Hamas said they were going to again and again and again. We won't stand for it, to disarm them, and to get our hostages back. Those are the intents of the war, not genocide. So, okay, anybody else want to discuss this, or we can get another point, either from Lonzo or anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, if this is a conversation, we can have a conversation. If this is just grandstanding, then I'll just don't understand.
We're just going point by point. That's the best way to have a conversation. I'll make sure I understood what you said, and then we can all discuss it.
I'll take a screenshot from inside or something to look at it, make it better. But yeah, look, at the end of the day.
You can copy from the Jews, Lonzo. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I'll make it better.
Feel free.
I'll make it better. Like
what would be a
all
better
humans have, throughout time.
Okay.
But anyway,
okay.
Yeah. So look, at the end of the day, religion aside, because we're talking about differences in religion and segregation based on religion, which is disgusting. It's
Okay. At the end of the day, we're talking about segregation based on religion, right? That's what you said. So do you know where there's segregation based on religion?
Israel.
Where in Israel?
All over.
No, that's not true. There's no segregation in
Christians get spit on in Israel.
You claim that spitting on somebody is not segregation.
Are there hundreds of videos showing?
You make that claim. That doesn't mean
Are
segregation.
churches getting bombed and looted in Israel?
You make that claim. I dispute it.
Are the Druze being disrespected based on their religion in Israel?
Israel is defending the Druze. The Druze serve. Hang on. The Druze serve.
You're losing, bro. The world is waiting.
Yes, well, they should. The Druze serve in the Israeli army. The Jews are firmly on the side of Israel. You probably don't know this. I'm sure you don't know where the Jews Jews is.
Do the
So, again,
Israeli, does the
well, let's not
Israeli
go through a whole list. So let's talk about segregation.
It's crazy.
Lonzo.
Are there
It's
streets
crazy.
that Muslims can't walk on?
Say again. Where?
Are there
Where?
streets?
Where, Lonzo?
Are there streets? Yes or no?
Where, Lonzo?
Yes or no?
What street?
In
What
Israel.
street? Where? What street,
In the
Lonzo?
West Bank.
In the
Are
West
there
Bank. Okay,
streets?
Lonzo, you may be surprised to learn that the
Yes
West
or
Bank
no?
is not in Israel. Did you think that the West Bank was in Israel, Lonzo? If it isn't, you want to start over?
Yes or no? Yes.
Yes or no what?
Are
Yes
there,
or no what?
is it Palestine?
Is what Palestine?
The West Bank.
Where is it Palestine?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
At the end of the day,
Lonzo, I'm going to teach you a lot here.
if it's
I'm gonna
not
teach you-
Palestine,
No, I'm
okay,
gonna
tell me,
respond.
is it Palestine?
Hang on. I'm going to teach you something. So we have something called the Oslo Accords. Have you heard of the Oslo Accords, Lonzo?
You're muting me, so.
Well, you just spoke, so apparently you know how to work the unmute button. Have you heard of the Oslo Accords, Lonzo?
The question is,
No, wait, Lonzo, it's a yes
is it
or a
Israel
no.
or is it Palestine? And if it's-
Lonzo, I'm explaining the answer to your question. Indulge me a second. Work with me. Have you heard of the Oslo Accords? Okay, I'm going to pretend to be Lonzo. Yes, I have heard of the Oslo Accords. Very good, Lonzo. Under the Oslo Accords, there are three areas in Judea and Samaria. Area A is controlled by Palestinians, by the Palestinian Authority. No Jews allowed, Lonzo. No Jews allowed. That's Area A in Judea and Samaria, which the Jordanians call the West Bank, but that's a colonial name. The Arabs don't call it the West Bank, they call it Dafa territories. In Area B, there is Palestinian and Jewish control. Now, when there is not war, the Palestinians or the Arabs or the Jordanians or however they want to identify mix freely in villages and towns. Jews and non-Jews mix freely in the towns of Israel. Right now there's a war, so things are a little tense. That's Area B, mixed control. Area C is Israeli control. This is the treaty that the Palestinian Authority signed with Israel. You probably didn't know it. So Jews are not allowed to go to Area A. They'll get kicked out. Arabs are not able to enter Jewish towns because of the threat of terrorism. That's going on now. So there's a separation there. There's no segregation. They have sovereignty, and so do we. They are sovereign over their area. We are sovereign over our area.
The question
Not like
was,
Yes.
the question was, are there
Yes.
streets where Muslims and non-Jews are able to walk up and down the street? Yes or no?
And I said to you, where do you mean?
Just yes or
And you
no.
don't know.
That's simple.
Well,
yes or
well,
no?
Okay. The short answer is this is typical Lonzo bullshit.
That's just yes, bro. Stop with
You're
the
saying
lies, bro. Stop with the lies, bro. So all you do is
Lonzo. Let's listen to the truth, liar.
this guy's a liar, man.
Lonzo, what street?
I had to
Name the
move him
street.
down.
Let's
Oh,
look
you
at the
did
street
it, Jew.
together.
Oh my goodness. Jew, how did you did it?
Let's look at the street together, Lonzo. Put the street in the chat. Name it. Lonzo, don't be so ignorant. Don't be so ignorant. Well, Aziz, I didn't call on you. Aziz, you are at least as uninformed on this matter as Lonzo. So, Aziz, the next word out of your mouth will be, what street can Arabs not walk on?
So yeah, but there are.
Hang on. Not so, yeah, that's not a street name. What?
But he doesn't
Street.
know the name of the people.
Aziz, then why did he say it? Aziz,
I don't know
what?
the name of
Aziz, then you don't have anything to say, do you? Then you have nothing to say. All this time and no information. Isn't that a little embarrassing?
You know you're damaging your argument. You know that, right?
Do I really? What's the street, Aziz?
You're damaging your argument.
Aziz, what's the street?
Aziz, what's the street?
What's the street? Where can Arabs walk? There's a street.
I
There's
don't
no
know
Arabs
where.
can walk. You
Chernobyl
don't know.
happened.
The answer is you don't know. Wait.
I don't know
Hang
where
on.
Chernobyl happened.
Hang on, Aziz.
You know?
The answer is you don't know.
Right. I don't know.
Ignorant.
I don't need to know
Stop
the
it.
name.
Stop interrupting, Aziz, or I'll have to send you down. Don't interrupt me. You don't know. Lonzo doesn't know. So what I said to you was there are areas where Jews don't go, and there are areas where Arabs don't go, right? Under the Oslo Accords.
Right.
So Lonzo will mention, for example, in the chat, an area where Arabs don't go under the Oslo Accords, and there are areas where Jews don't go.
So he's right.
Because,
so he's right.
well, no, because what he went, well, no, he was wrong.
He didn't know
And
the name
again,
of the
the
street.
reason, I beg your pardon,
He didn't know the name of the street, but he was not.
he still doesn't know, and neither do you.
I don't need to know.
So
the
what
name
is
of
true?
The street.
What's that? Right.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have to know.
Well, you don't have to know unless you want to make a point. So you don't have a point. You tried to lie, and I exposed you. I guess it's that simple. So now, Lonzo, let's read what Lonzo wrote in the chat. Yeah, you guys didn't go to school. Okay. Lonzo claims that on Shuhada Street, Palestinians are not allowed. Okay. Post your evidence, Lonzo. Post your evidence, Lonzo. There's one of many, Lonzo says. Lonzo, who couldn't find Israel on a map. Lonzo doesn't know where Shahada Street is. Okay. So I don't know what Trocaire is, Lonzo. Can you put a legitimate source? I don't know what your Trocaire is. I don't know what that is. No, just say what street. Lonzo, where does it say that non-Jews can't walk on Shahada Street? So when there is a war, as is now, there are security measures in place. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Right now, Arabs and Jews are at war, and we're fighting. And so, for the safety of the Jews and for the safety of the Arabs, there's a separation. That isn't to say that, as Lonzo would try to lie to you and have you believe it, Arabs aren't allowed. In your own city, you can't walk down the street. In fact, the problem is that there are terror groups in these areas attacking and killing Jews regularly. And so there has been a security forces there to prevent attacks on Jews. Okay, the old city of Hebron. Well, listen, you're making personal attacks in the chat, Aziz. That's typical. Hang on, I'm just gonna, let's see. Wikipedia, Shuhada Street. Gaya, you've already made your share. Hang on, I want to see this Wikipedia entry. Hang on. Does anybody want to contribute something? I want to read Lonzo's Wikipedia entry. Shuhada Street. Huh. Main road leading to the Tomb of the Patriarchs. After riots and a massacre, Israel closed the street after riots. Okay. Of course, with the Hebron Protocol, the street was reopened to Arab particular traffic. Huh. So when there's violence, it's closed, Lonzo. And when there's peace, it is open. Does that seem right or fair? So if you don't put the information in, it sounds like segregation. So when people are putting on suicide vests and blowing themselves up, which is what the Second Intifada was about, they close the street to prevent more people from dying. And when there's peace, that's in your Wikipedia selection, Lonzo. You should read it. You should read it, Lonzo. So right now, there is a war going on between Arabs in Israel, and the street is closed because of that. And as it says in your article, Lonzo, when there's peace, it's opened. It's in your article that you posted, Lonzo. All right, thank you. So I guess, Lonzo, this was good for you, though, because you're learning, and I'm happy to hear you learn. Who else wanted to make a contribution? Looks like Z's went bye-bye. And I'm not surprised. Let's see how many folks we have there. I still want to get into the thing, comedian, I'll bring you up, but don't interrupt with crazy stuff. Lonzo has his hand up. So do you want to try another point, Lonzo? Here, I'm going to give you another shot. Go ahead, Lonzo. What's your other, let's see if you can make a civilized point now. So I explained to you in your post that the street is open, and then when there's violence, it closes, which I think makes sense unless you want to see people die. What's your next point?
So yeah, there were several different posts that I put up there.
Yeah, I read them. So what's your next point?
You read.
I read them, Lonzo.
No,
I read the whole thing, Lonzo. No, Lonzo, you don't know what I read because
is this going to be
my mind. That's schizophrenia when you think you know, unless you are in my head, which you're not. So let's focus on your next point.
I posted an article to the top if anyone wants to read about the Arab violence on the street against Jews.
What's the source?
JNS.org. You can read it yourself. Just click on it. What's your next point, Lonzo?
Propaganda. All right, yeah. So
What do you mean?
back to my point. Back to my point.
Wait a second, Lon. Wait a second. That was your next point. Why is it propaganda, Lonzo? That you haven't read it yet. You don't even know what it says.
Same reason you said that my source is propaganda.
I said I didn't know what your source was.
Exactly.
Okay, so why, if you haven't read it?
But anyway.
No, not but anyway. You made your point. You haven't read it. You know, hang on, Lonzo.
By Israeli.
Slowly. Lonzo, you didn't read the link. So how do you know it's propaganda? Is it fair to say you don't know? So that was a false statement. You lied on the stage, right?
All right, so there's documentaries.
No, hang on, Lonzo. Hang on a second. You're losing the point. You're losing the plot, Lonzo.
It's segregation.
You're losing the plot. Hang on.
You support segregation.
Lonzo. One point at a time.
So
you said it was propaganda. Lonzo. One point at a time. What's the matter, Lonzo? What's the matter? You said it was propaganda, but you didn't read it. Is it though? You've never spoken to a Nazi. How would you know?
Probably worse.
Are you feeling a victim now, Lonzo? Because
No,
I caught you in a lie. Because I caught you in a lie? But you said that it was like talking to a Nazi. Doesn't that make you the victim, Lonzo? Okay. It doesn't sound like you understand what honest discourse is or good faith dialogue. So you looked at a link and you said it was propaganda before you read it. That's not a good faith dialogue. That's just a lie. Until you know. Right, Lonzo? Okay. The links are old. Who gives a fudge about the past? That's how these humans are. That's okay. Lonzo, you need to take a little rest there because you're getting very aggressive and nasty.
Norm, I wonder if there's anywhere possibly that Jews aren't allowed to go.
Well, I mentioned Area A. I was driving there a couple weeks ago, and there's a big sign there: "No Jews should come in here." It says it. You're not allowed because it's a Palestinian Authority. If you did go in there, if you made a wrong turn, the police would pick you up and take you out. But again, when we have ignorant people who know nothing about the subject except that they hate Jews, they'll try to spread all kinds of bullshit. That was an example. Okay. I was told I do not belong in a supermarket in the USA. That's very terrible, Gaia. Telling people you want a ceasefire and to feed the innocents, that's Jew hatred. No, that is not Jew hatred. We are feeding, we're sending many trucks of humanitarian aid into Gaza now. So I'm sure you're grateful. They would be going nowhere because Palestine doesn't exist.
I just invited Guy up to make a point.
Okay. Palestine existed before and after 1948. Mary Luther King, who was the president of Palestine? Out of curiosity, if you know. Put it in the chat. I've never seen a government. I've never seen sovereignty. I've never seen an economy. Somebody once mentioned that they had oranges. So I think what they had was a land that was owned for centuries and by the Ottoman Turks. I think that's a fair description. We're sending body bags that are medical aid? No, we're sending humanitarian aid there, like hundreds and hundreds of trucks. I'm going to estimate at least 700 trucks this week alone. Tons of humanitarian aid. I don't even know when they thought I mean, some people think Palestine is a state, yet when was the state formed? When was the state formed? Mary Luther, let me bring you up.
Let me ask you this real quick, Will, because how much of the Palestinian population do you think is left, or is there currently now?
Well, the population of Palestinians in Israel and the environment has quadrupled in the past half century or so. Quadrupled. I know. I just want to give you a background thing.
Okay.
It's the opposite of genocide. When you say left, I would say like easily between Judea, Samaria, and what used to be Gaza, I could estimate at least 5 million. Something like that, 4 or 5 million.
So what do you think? What do you think the population is? I'll just say this: what do you think the population is now today? And what percentage of that population would you consider a peaceful Palestinian who wants to live peacefully?
Thank God I don't have to make that
with equal rights amongst the Israelis. What percentage of this population do you think are peaceful and want to live amongst the Israelis?
Thank God I don't have to make that decision, because who knows? It's really a disturbing question.
Aren't you asking the question? You're asking the question from the perspective of an American type of frame. I mean, why do you think as an American you can project our standards and values to a region in the Mediterranean?
I'm asking what percentage of people do you think don't like you or do like you? What American perspective am I coming from?
Because you're implying that everyone is created equal over there. You have different countries separated by a mile. It's different neighborhoods, different countries, different systems. There's no integration there. You have your territory over there. This is the territory over here. There's no union amongst these separated states.
You're not answering the fucking question, and that's okay if you can't answer it. But what I'm asking is, of the Palestinians that are there, how many of them? Well, I mean, what percentage do you think, or let's just say, do you think the minority of them want to live peacefully, or the majority of them want to live peacefully amongst the Israelis? If you don't have an answer, that's fine, but don't say I'm projecting American values. You don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know the answer, and it's disturbing. It's funny you call it an echo chamber, Aziz, but when you had the chance, you had nothing to say, nothing. So it's a tough question, and I can only say to you that no population, and I'm talking about Israel, is under any obligation to live next to people who are violent and want to kill them. And we're seeing acts of terror all the time. Last week, they shot a pregnant woman on her way to the hospital. I forget her name, unfortunately. There's some crazy, sick maniac shooting from the hills at people that he doesn't know. That is really sick. I don't know what to do. I don't know how many people are like that. I don't know why he does that. But we're not going to let it continue, because nobody is under any obligation to live next to people who are going to just sit on the hillside and shoot pregnant women at random.
But Norm, I think it's most relevant to ask.
I support you in your holy work, in your fucking war, in like more.
What's a holy war?
Like I support. I wish you good luck. Is what I'm trying to say. My question is, you keep saying that you guys don't have an obligation to do whatever. Why did we have an obligation? Why did we have an obligation to give a fuck?
Total funded and unfunded debt of the federal.
I think it's the right thing to do, but you have no obligation unless you're moral. Unless you're
Unless I'm moral. Unless I'm a good person. So if I'm not a good person, I don't. The only way for me to be a good person is to give a fuck about the conflict.
I would say the only way for you to be a good person and a grown-up, because I don't expect kids to do this, is to know the difference between right and wrong.
No, but what if I'm apathetic and totally indifferent to a fucking Palestinian child or an Israeli child? Like, I don't give a fuck about either one of them. I don't give a fuck about a dead Jewish woman or a dead Palestinian.
Well, then you have accepted yourself from the community of humans on the planet who care about right and wrong.
But does anyone care when black people get marauded and raped and pillaged?
If they don't, then there's something wrong with them.
Well, then there's something wrong with the whole entire world then.
I don't think the whole entire world is indifferent to the suffering of black people.
Because all of our lives in the West are supported by literally child slavery in Africa. And we all know this. So, like right now, how we're
I don't know it, but I'm willing to hear you with what you have to say.
Yeah, but this is information.
I'm supported by child slavery in Africa, but I'm against it, and I can tell you I can take a moral stand on it.
Then Norm, how is it that you're asking for support from Americans? Because you don't even, like I said, the title blacks out of it, because Americans are black, and they're looking at the fact that it's the same land, that it's indigenous to a lot of persons over here.
We're just having a discussion about it. We're not telling anybody they need to do it.
No, I'm not, okay, well, we understand that, because as human beings, we have choices, and that should never be taken away from us. So I'm not pointing it out to you to say that's definitely what you're doing. It's a discussion. But based off what he said, how is it that you do not know of the history of a certain set of people that is on your land? And it's part of the land.
Wait.
He made mention of the Africans and stuff, and you said you don't know about it. How is it that why should
Wait, Africans are on, there are African children being slaves on my land right now?
No, not your land. Your people are on Africa. It doesn't matter. But
where's Africa? Where's my people on Africa? Where is that?
You're at the tip right down there where they call it Gaza and Palestine, where you guys are now fighting for the name and stuff like that. Okay, well, if you should go back to the beginning of time, the names that you resonate with wasn't even there. So let's stick to the forefront.
Well, we're not going back to the beginning of time because I don't.
Yeah, can we just use modern terminology, please? I mean, if we can't speak in the words that we use now, I mean, how can we anticipate what you're talking about, Gaia?
Okay, if you would listen with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is something you're born with naturally, you would understand. What's his name? Inmate made a statement. Okay, he made reference to African.
You know, I don't think you're actually born with wisdom. I think you have to read a book to get wisdom, Gaia.
As though what he's saying could be thrown away as a theory. Well, you need to say, yes, I know that is happening in Africa. Do not say, I will have to. Well, why the hell would you want to bring America's your information to? That's what I'm saying. You're collectively looking to a country for support, and you're taking a set of people out of it. That's what you're doing, because a lot of Africans are over here just like you.
Let's get it out there. In what country in Africa are children slaves?
All of Africa, because right now your children, we have to you're on our land.
I mean,
we're not talking. Sorry, go ahead.
My idea isn't to have this type of back and forth. I'm just saying, Norm, just like I said, hey, good luck in your whatever war.
Okay.
And you said, hey, best wishes. Hey, I wish you best wishes in a thing that I don't know about.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't know about it because no one cares. And I'm saying
not because no one cares
about.
It's possible to be ignorant. So what should we do about the enslaved black
Yeah,
in the
but
Democratic Republic of Congo?
I just think it's intriguing on the things that they want to inform people about, because the system knows exactly that people don't know everything.
I never said anybody knew it.
So I'm saying that, to be honest with you, I think the Israel-Palestine conversation on a global scale, I think that most people actually shouldn't care about it, and most people shouldn't have an opinion, because it doesn't affect most people.
Well, you're entitled.
I actually think that the conversation is actually way bigger than the conflict. Even though the conflict is horrendous, but the thing about the thing about the horrendous conflict is that this is one out of like 20 other horrendous conflicts.
Okay, what's the bigger conversation that we should be having?
I'm not saying that we should be talking
Oh,
about
no, it's going to be meditation.
Is that people who have no relation to this have the deepest sentiments one way or the other, because we're taught to know about this for some odd reason when it doesn't affect us. Why should we care?
To care about this for some odd reason? Where were you taught about this for some odd reason? Where were you taught?
We're taught by the American media to have a side on this when it doesn't affect us.
Taught by the media? Right now, media has been disintermediated. You can look at any media you want. If you want to look at only African media, you can do that. That's your choice.
He has nothing to say, essentially, El Normo. This is a conversation about nothing.
Aren't your people a part of the devastation of the American economy, because they took them over as refugees? And yeah, a lot of you guys Biden took you over here. You came over America, and you are now a part of the stifling of the economy.
A disproportionate percentage of
I'm not talking about American Jews, the ones that came here legally. I'm talking about refugees from the whole devastated destruction that has been happening in the news and everything, and they crying out, "Who help us?" and everything like that, which the world will help. The world will help, because at the forefront you put women and children, and women and children, the world will going to look at it. So I'm saying, aren't you people open to, when I...
Hang on. You're going on and on. Why don't you make one point?
Okay, my point is, isn't those people that are over there that are being martyred or whatever, genocide, killed, whatever, in the war that you have over there with that flag, are they not, okay, I'm not finished. My point is, are they not a part of this United States economy that is a negative contribution? Are they not a negative contribution towards the growth of this economy? How are those people beneficial as refugees? How are those people beneficial over here as refugees? How are they contributing to the country? I believe that they are taking them in and they are stifling. That's my opinion.
Okay, so you mean like Syrian refugees from the Syrian civil war?
I don't know, Palestinian, Gaza, they will all need people over the and stuff like that. Y'all all the same, and you guys will literally run away from the day. Come on, y'all. A lot of you hide. A lot of you guys yourself based off the fact that it's true.
Because you don't go back and forth. So
that's what you guys are doing, Laura.
Which refugees would you not like to have come here? Who do you not want here?
I don't care who they want to harbor here. This is not my country. This is not my land. It's not mine.
Who do you not want here?
Who? Are you not listening? I said, this is not my land, okay? My question to you is,
so you said they shouldn't
do you not believe it's a question, and it's not rhetorical. Okay. My question to you is, do you believe the refugees, because they are taking in refugees from those lands, and Allah unowa yellow answer na Jews, Zionists, everything like that, because you see, there's no my type, I'm Jew. I'm a black Jew. And trust me.
Refugees coming here, so don't worry.
Where are you? Where are you in the United States?
I'm in New York right now.
Okay, maybe they're not in New York, and if they are, they will not make themselves visible to you. They will just fall under the whole Abidi hat, and you will protect them in your community. That's different.
Okay. All right, Gaya, we're going to move on. We're not taking in a lot of refugees from the Middle East right now, if that's your concern.
Not now, but you did before, and it weakened the economy. I'm not talking now. America has awakened. They don't want anybody else inside here.
Okay, let me ask you a question, guys.
Are they not working?
No, a lot of them are living off the system. A lot of them are living off these refugee things that are being implemented by the USA that was sent.
I don't
That the
have
government
any.
is trying to
If you
read
can
that.
show me
It's true
the
because if you go on the
refugees from the
USSS side, there are refugee applications.
you
There's
tell me the
refugees for them to get
refugees
jobs,
from the
for
Middle
housing.
East are not working, then we
You
can.
guys have access to schools, jobs, special communities, and stuff like that. Stop hiding
Which
it.
guys do you mean?
This is just spam, El Normo. You are literally entertaining his spam. And how long is it going to go on, Gaia? You're not having a conversation.
Okay, don't
No, I
don't
wanted
whine
to
at her. Don't whine at her. Let's hear from Dave. Or Big Rex, either way.
No, I just wanted to ask her, has a Jewish person personally offended her? That's all I wanted to ask her. Because I don't think she has a clear understanding of what she's trying to say.
She said, you guys, and I'm not sure who she means. Before she said that people from Pac, which is not really accurate, and at least one person who is Chinese just laughed at her. So I think she needs to get more clear about what she's saying and what she's asking, because it doesn't make any sense the way she's saying it. I'm sorry to have to say that.
I think they are all very emotional, right? And some, I think which one is that? I think he left or what? Yeah. But he was talking about there is not enough bandwidth about the suffering of the African children and things like that. Then the question is, why this is the case? Why the world put a lot of bandwidth, and video on Gaza instead of suffering in Africa, which they care.
That's a question.
Suffering of the black people, which they care. They should ask questions like that because they care about, the situation in black people, either in US or in Africa. Then they have to ask why the world is so biased, right? This is more important. The world is biased because there's something not right, right? Everybody should have a chance to understand other people's suffering. Yet, everything is being converged into one place, Gaza, right? So, to get the black people to understand this bias against them, they come and talk about it instead of just they are very emotional first thing. They understand something has not been fair to them, and I hope they ask question why the media, both in US, in Europe, in everywhere, not talking about the unfairness they felt is happening in Africa and US. I think that is more important to them.
I agree. Those are questions I actually do have. Why isn't the atrocities in the Congo and other parts of Africa?
They should be. They should be.
But what do you think? And we agree that they should be, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think is making it or stopping that? What is it that intercepted?
Big Rex, there are money involved in controlling what is to be spoken, be protested, and things like that. Imagine, right? Let's say you care about what's going on in Congo and things like that. Ideally, there should be a protest about, mistreatment or suffering or whatever, right? In Capitol Hill and things like that. Instead, there is no chance of them doing anything because they are all totally overwhelmed by pro-Palestine protest. So is it fair? Is it fair to the black people in US and Africa? They are suffering justice to be heard as well, right? So the question is where the money has gone to pay for people who join pro-Palestine protests, right? And why the media are, spending so much time on this. So the world only know about this suffering, and through this suffering, the world feel very hateful, very angry, And when they start feeling angry, they start thinking about why isn't my suffering being told as well? I'm also a human being. My fellow people in Africa are suffering. Why isn't my suffering being told? Who is the one controlling this focus only on Gaza? Who are these people? That is the question.
That is a good question. Does anybody know who these people are?
And this should be discussed among the American black people if to understand they don't have the bandwidth. Their bandwidth has all been sucked by people who pay.
Who's the people that don't have the bandwidth?
That's why I'm asking you, do you think there are enough bandwidth for black people in Africa, the Congo, as what you say, right? All the things you think injustice, they should be spoken as well, right? See, they have no chance. The media only interested one place, Gaza. The media should be fair in distributing the discussion to many different places in Africa and so on. That is the point of discussion. What's wrong with the media?
I agree. Do you think it's profitable? Do you think there is any profit in centering and focusing on the Palestinian protests and the Israel-Palestinian conflict versus the African conflict? And the question, also to answer the question who, and also to answer that question of who, I think we should also add why. Who is doing this? Who is orchestrating the media to only really focus on Middle Eastern affairs as opposed to atrocities happening in Africa? And why are they doing it? What is their intention? What is their goal?
Yeah, you see, it's not only they're doing this.
See, Dave, I gotta tell you, I think you're gonna go on and on forever because the problem is not outside of us; it's within us, and that's why El Normo. I was talking about meditation earlier. Until people start talking about, the inner dimensions of psychology and self, there will be no peace, and you don't see that on this app. It's nothing but propaganda, politics, spam. And Dave, I gotta tell you, I think you're doing the same thing.
Okay, I'm trying to answer question of Big Rex, right? Big Rex, not only see the whole idea is, I believe this is just what I choose to believe. There is a money, there is a coordinated effort in order to mobilize people who felt underprivileged to make them to only focus on Gaza, to divert their hate and anger only to Gaza and make them felt like your problem is not important and secondary to Gaza. So this is also an internal problem also in US.
Do you think that's the motivating factor? What is the motivating factor behind it, if that is true?
So what is the question is, what is the advantage of mobilizing people who felt disadvantaged in US to Gaza? What benefit would that make to the people who pay for the money? And what is the benefit to people in US being mobilized who are suffering, who are feeling disadvantaged, to focus on Gaza? Absolutely no advantage to people who felt they are being unfairly treated in US to focus on Gaza, but they are useful resources that can easily mobilize just by a couple of US dollars and just spreading some misinformation. And these people who are feeling injustice being treated to them to direct their hate into what's going on in Gaza. So in other words, these people are called useful idiots being paid to divert their hate and anger, which should be dealt with, but instead all the bandwidth suck the attention of them all to Gaza. So they've become the useful idiot. And this is not fair, and the truth has to be learned so that the people who felt they are unfairly treated in US stop to become a useful idiot and figure out who is the one systematically going through the clubhouse, going through the social media, figure out who is calling out, we are being unfairly treated, people in Congo need attention. All these things are being become the useful idiot and become the mouthpiece to propagate the problem in Gaza. And this is the enemy of these people who felt unfairly treated in US and in Africa. So the common enemy of us is who are the one paying for all this mouthpiece? Who are the one who paying for misinformation? Who are the one in Clubhouse 24/7 mobilizing people in US who felt they are unfairly treated and make them direct their hate and anger to the situation in Gaza? That
Dave, Clubhouse is a microcosm of nothing. This is a meaningless little tidbit in the social, audio ecosphere and social media landscape. TikTok has been a purveyor of incredible brainwash propaganda for quite a long time. Meta as well, and Google. I mean, I believe in censorship. I don't think you should support terrorists. I don't think you should allow people to create content that supports terrorism. It should be censored and deleted, and it does get taken down. It's called hate speech. You hear it on this app all the time, but there's really no regulation, and you don't really even see any party hats on there. So I'm telling you, El Normo is running essentially a therapeutic room, but I do find there's a lot of grifters on here who all of a sudden also declare, hey, I'm a Jew, but yet these Jews in their ivory towers, I mean, if you're Jewish, I hate to tell you, but you should be nationalistic. You should be a Zionist. And I mean, El Normo, I asked you once earlier, is Israel a republic? And you're like, well, what's your definition? And my general consensus is it's nationalism, and Zionism to me is nationalism. So I think every country is nationalistic, and if a country isn't nationalistic, it doesn't necessarily have its citizens as the core basis of all their rational decision making. So, it's about survival and optimization, and if every country did that, chances are you'd have very little conflict. But unfortunately, there's bad actors out there. There are deceivers, liars, whisperers, tempters. I mean, people that are sociopaths and do evil, wicked things because they're crazy and depressed or low IQ or vicious. I mean, they're mafia criminals.
Media, they get paid. It's a very good job. They get paid 24/7 doing what you just said. They get paid. They are not just stupid people. They're not just depressed or whatever. They get paid. And it doesn't cost a lot to pay these people.
What are you talking about? It does cost a lot of money to pay these people. These Palestinian leadership people living in Qatar, they got $15 billion in the bank. Billions of dollars siphoned from international aid.
You have to look at the world map. You look at the world map, you see where are the Islamic nation, Middle East, North Africa. This very big area, a lot of people, they don't earn a lot, right? You just teach them some English, you just give them some money. They are doing 24/7, and as you say, a lot of people become Jews here in Clubhouse. Many of them are Muslim. They can go around and put a word rabbi in front of them, then they become rabbi. Right? So we have all kind of people being paid here. Just
You've been approved for $19.
Paid and unequally treated here in different continents, channel their hate into one focus point, Gaza.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think when people hate, I think they give it out freely. But I want to add something to the title. So the title says, "Why should Black folks and all Americans support Israel?" So I want to ask this. So of course, listen carefully. All Black people and all Americans, support something because generally nobody's all in support, right? And I know the Jewish community is big on selectivity, right? So let's say so for the ones that do support you all, and your movement or whatever you got going on. So once that to have sorrow for the atrocities that are committed on you. Are you all open? These people are very trustworthy. You know, they want to support you. In jail. Would these certain Americans, or certain black people, would you all not necessarily fight the officers, but when it comes to doing business with them and coming together on real estate contracts, would that be something that the Jewish members of the Jewish community would consider that be something that that just something that they would be open to doing with those blacks and Americans that are genuinely Jewish, trustworthy and supportive of the Israel party?
Of course, I say we can and we do.
See, I don't think
Go ahead, Norman. Go ahead.
people don't understand the perspective of the soldiers over there. El Normo, the
Of
soldiers.
course, we can and we do.
What I'm saying is, people here on Clown House, I mean, they don't understand that. I just watched a video of recent battle footage while the Israelis are taking control of northern Gaza. This is, it has this whole meta immortality of conversation, but the real world over there, the Israelis they know that it is a fight to win this thing. It is not some artificial fake little bullshit. Like, this is it. Like, for these people, this is an all or nothing war, and they're gonna win it, and they're pushing and pushing, and it's real, and it's just unbelievable what has happened and what is happening, and how eventually this equation will be solved.
Do you think Israel is getting a bad rap for being the people that are winning the war?
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they got.
I wanted to say, is Hurricane on the stage? Or did he leave? I invited him on. Oh, damn it. I had something I wanted to say to him. Okay. I want to make, if anybody sees Hurricane around the app, I would like you to tell him